And our first patient here is a negative feedback on eBay. I mean, I'm not sure if this is the one or the one after that, not sure. This is AM5. I like doing AM5s, they're much easier than Intel sockets because there's no caps in between. And my Rework Pro camera keeps cutting off. I fixed that with the following board. It's too many devices on the USB, so it just freezes from time to time. But what's crazy about this board is that it practically never even warped. Look, we're almost preheated. We're going into the profile, and the board is not warping. That's very rare. So usually that means that it's gonna be successful, but I'm not sure. Maybe this one was successful. Oops, I dropped the socket. Maybe this one was successful and it's the next one that I get negative feedback on. And as you can see, I also nowadays I cover the caps because I had a couple explosions recently, which is rare, but since it started happening a little more lately, I figured let's just cover them. Just a little piece of aluminum foil. It's an extra step, so I try to reduce the extra steps if I can. But everything's going well here. The socket actually lifted at a much lower temperature than I thought, lower than it usually does. But when you preheat it nicely, it's much easier. Plus the temperature in the shop is now a lot higher. Probably not when I was working on this board, because I can see that I'm wearing long sleeves and no shorts. But now we get around 80 degrees in the shop, so that should be a lot better for the boards, more stable temperature. This was going to be my last session because of that negative feedback, and I figured, I know it's really because I do it for 50 bucks. It's a lot of work for 50 bucks. So either I was thinking I either have to increase the price, but to increase the price I have to provide some kind of guarantee. But even without providing any guarantee, you still get customers that want a refund or will get both the refund and give you negative feedback because the board didn't work. I don't think anybody reads the actual description of the listing, and that's probably the problem. Although most people, I must say, most people do understand that. Look, it dropped nicely. Yeah, there was a little bit of warping, but now this, the customer sent me the picture, but I couldn't tell on the picture. In the picture it looked like the board was fine, right? But once I put it under the microscope, you can see what the problem is. The majority, well, not majority, but some of these traces, they're completely missing. Some are detached, and too many of them. If this was only one trace, maybe a couple traces, I would attempt, doing that, repairing that. But to repair this, I have to put a lot of essentially glue, the UV adhesive, to hold those traces in place, which means the socket is not gonna sit properly, right? So it would be just a waste of time. But the customer, since I sent it like this, right, nothing, it looked like nothing was done to it. The customer wanted full refund, and I had to issue a full refund. Again, some people just don't respect your time. The bench fee is the bench fee. It's 50 bucks. It's not a huge fee. Sometimes it's worth it, but there's plenty of other shops that will charge you $90 to $100 bench fee, and in many cases that they won't even look at your device. I've heard a lot of testimonies like that, and I've even had the devices after such shops. So yeah, it's, at least here I did try, right? But okay, you want a full refund? Here's your full refund. So the next one, this one is I think 1200. Yeah, I don't think this was 1151. So boards essentially under 1700 pins, they usually warp a lot, and this one was no different. Actually, this one warped like hell for some reason. There's very little damage over here, and sometimes people ask me like, why don't you just correct the pin positions or bend the pins and stuff like that. Well, this isn't a repair service, this is a socket replacement service, right? So if you send the board in, you send it for the socket replacement, and that's exactly what you get. So in some cases, yeah, I am tempted to just, correct the pin. But if I did, then I have to test it, right? And you don't want to pay $50 for, someone just bending the pin on your socket, right? So regardless of damage, unless I determine that the socket is fine. We had a board like that some time ago, and it was probably a BIOS issue, but we couldn't fix it. But if I determine that the socket is perfectly fine, then I just don't replace it. But any socket that comes in here with any kind of damage for socket replacement, that is what you get. And again, this one actually lifted at 213. So a little higher than the previous two boards. This actually looks like 1700 socket looking at it right now. Maybe it is. And I missed the warping, but I think this one warped a lot, or maybe that's not the one. Some of them warp like crazy, some of them suffer very little warping, but well, I have few ideas how to improve the success rate, and I'm going to apply it to the next 5 boards that I have in queue. This was going to be the last one, and I was going to just stop delivering this service, but it is a service that still is needed by a lot of shops. Sure, from time to time we get the customer that is difficult or expects that, for $50 not only I replace the socket, but I test the board, I guarantee the results and stuff like that. Well, I wish I could, and maybe I will in the future, but that's going to be $250, $300 service, not $50 service. There is a disconnect for some reason. The reason it is so cheap is because you don't get the guarantee. You get the video, so you see that I did it. You see that the new socket is installed. If it doesn't work, you can still, RMA the board or what have you. The boards don't carry nowadays. They don't carry any marks of work being done on them. No signs of replacement. It looks like a new board. Typically, sometimes some stickers will be removed, and sometimes some print on the parts of the board might be removed due to ultrasonic cleaning. It looks really well, so you get your service, right? And I say it's a good price, $50 for this kind of service. If you want to do it for $50, then let me send you all my boards, and I'll just charge the customer $70. Right, because as you can see, it takes an hour to preheat it, then to remove the socket, replace the socket, then ultrasonic cleaning, then in some cases reassembly. There's always a little bit of reassembly, you know, like taking off the brackets. I have to keep it somewhere so I don't, so I know which bracket came from which board. It takes a little bit of time and effort, so maybe a couple hours. Sometimes when the board doesn't want to clean properly, it requires a couple more tries, higher temperature, a little more ultrasonic cleaning. So a single board can take even 3 hours. So imagine that I'm doing all that for just $55 plus shipping. And I understand you have to ship it to me, so your total bill will be maybe closer to $100, maybe even a little over $100 if you're sending from far away. I understand that, but my profit on this is around $10. So if the board doesn't work and you insist on refund, and I refund you $10, I gave you back all the money that I made on it, and you still get your board with a new socket, right? And technically services cannot be returned. But as you can see, this one warped a lot, and this one actually came, as you can see, with the heat sink. It was supposed to be disassembled, but I left that heatsink on because it's just PCH heatsink and the SSD or the M.2, so I left it on, and it looks like it didn't really affect anything. It's a pretty tiny heatsink, so maybe this is the one that didn't work, who knows. I didn't actually check, but this was supposed to be my last session, but we have 5 more boards in queue right now, and I'm gonna continue improving my skills, and I'm gonna continue providing this service despite negative feedback. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next one.